Hello folks, and welcome to Netcruzer TECH, a refurbished Acer Spin 3. This is a 15.6 inch Windows 10 touchscreen 2-in-1 convertible laptop with an i5 7200U, 8 gigs of RAM, and a 1 terabyte hard drive. Now, the cool thing about this is that it is a 2-in-1, so it has full touch support, as well as you can flip it into a tablet, you can turn it into presentation mode, you can do a lot. It is more of a two-handed device. If I just set you down here for a second, you'll be able to see here that I can turn it into a tablet. Here you can see you can run it as a tent mode, presentation mode, tablet mode, and then it goes into your more so like touch screen interface. You can choose in Windows 10 how you want that to work. I found this for $500 Canadian. Fairly light. I mean, it probably weighs upwards of like 4 pounds or so, but it's a fully plastic build. It's all plastic, but it's build quality is better than that Acer that I just showed you in a previous video. It does have dual facing stereo speakers. The keyboard is unfortunately a Canadian bilingual, which means we have the extra backslash here, a backslash here, all these other Canadianness French keys that we don't want, but that just happens to be what it's like in Canada. Something you might be able to notice here is that you can see the greasy marks on the keys because it is a black plastic on the keys and on the touchpad. If your fingers are a little bit greasy or even just clean, you can tell where you've touched. A port selection is somewhat limited, but decent. So you do have a headphone jack, a SDXC card reader slot, one USB 3, one HDMI out, power in. On this side, we have Kensington lock, power button, 2 USB 2.0s, and a volume rocker. Then on the back, we just have a heat vent. This would be the back or the top when it's in this tent mode. The screen itself is a full HD 1080p IPS display. Viewing angles and stuff seem pretty good. One thing about this display panel when it's off, it is a very gray type panel, very highly reflective, and a bit of a fingerprint magnet. So it does have an air gap. It's not highly contrast. It does have a lot of reflections, and it doesn't have any oleophobic coating. The biggest downside to this machine is that it comes with a 5400 RPM molasses slow hard drive. Once I put an SSD in it, it will be much faster. That is kind of the next step, get it upgraded. So I'll pop open the bottom of it, take a look at some of the internals, and look at the M.2 slot and find out if we can put a drive in, because sometimes the M.2 slots don't have the standoff, as well as M.2 has a lot of different specs, and I was curious if this one supports serial ATA or if it is PCIe NVMe. According to my research, because this is a 7th gen machine, it should be able to support the PCIe based NVMe really fast. I'll come back to you in a second and I'll show you the internals of this thing. All right, I'm working on getting on the inside of the Acer Spin 3. It's 12 screws, 4, 4, 4. Take all those screws out, and then you are going to need a spudger tool. And I just got in along the edges and I'm just trying to pry it up. There's a lot of clips and tabs, and I'm just carefully trying to get them all off without breaking them. Okay, that should do it. A bit of tape on the front. We're in. Under here, this is the main CPU with the heat pipe. This is the Wi-Fi card in a M.2 type of slot. Here's the HDMI. Here's the USB 3.0. Here's the SD card reader. Under this flap is one stick of RAM, and I was wondering, well, where's the other stick of RAM? As I gather, this has 4 gigs of RAM soldered onto the board, but then it has one RAM slot. So this is a 4 gig DDR4 2400 RAM stick, but it also has 4 gigs of Samsung RAM on board. Here is the bane of all modern laptops, a 5400 RPM hard drive. And it is currently the only drive in this system. Everything's bottlenecked by this drive. So what I wanted to do was put in an M.2. And I was looking around here, well, where's the M.2? It's actually over here. There it is right there. And it's an M key M.2 slot. The other thing I wanted to confirm before I went and go buy something is it does have a standoff. No screw, but it has a standoff for the 80mm super fast drive SSD here. And I did confirm that since this is a 7th gen Intel, it does support PCIe ×2 NVMe. So I'll be able to get a SSD that is running NVMe spec, be twice as fast as Serial ATA 3. So I definitely want to do that. And then over here is a daughter board that is 2 USB 2.0 ports. Anyway, so that's the inside of an Acer Spin 3. Here is the battery here. There's no sticker on the battery, and this was a refurb device, so I'm wondering if maybe the battery was exchanged, because it's weird that there's no sticker on the battery at all. Just as I look over things, there is one thing on this refurb that I don't like, and that's the state of this cable. Why would they not have changed this cable when they did it? Look, it's... I'm afraid to even touch it too much, but that's not good. One thing that I'm a little bit disappointed with Acer is there are no service manuals. One other slightly interesting thing is on the bottom cover, because this is a convertible 2-in-1 laptop, there's like this big pad here, and what those actually are is they're magnets. Yeah, they're strong. That's just so that when you're in full tablet mode, it locks the screen back against the body so it doesn't have a lot of flex. They've got that super strong magnet right up at the front of the machine, right beside the hard drive. I can't imagine that's good for a hard drive, having a strong magnet beside it, but whatever. Hopefully the engineers have done their research on that. So I have been using this for a couple of days, just getting used to it with the slow hard drive, and found some Acer community forums where they said that you can run this program, which is called HWINFO, and it gives you all of the specs. I'm used to a program called CPU-Z, which gives you this type of information about what your CPU is, what your video card is. This has the integrated HD 620 graphics, which is the newest Intel integrated graphics, even on the new Kaby Lake refresh chips. This is the same GPU, so I'll be pushing that to its limits and seeing what you can do for gaming on an HD 620. And this is the Kaby Lake 7th generation Intel chip. How you check if your M.2 is Serial ATA or NVMe PCIe based is you go into bus, and on an Acer specifically you're looking for root port number 9, and then over here this is where it says it right here, maximum link speed is 2 times. So that means that this is a PCIe Gen 3 times 2. And there happens to be right now a SSD on sale that is designed exactly for that spec. And it's the ADATA XPG SX6000, which they've designed to be like a enthusiast grade mid-level performance where it's faster than Serial ATA, but it is running on NVMe PCIe speeds. So that is great. If you have an Acer and you're curious if your M.2 supports Serial ATA or NVMe, look for this. If it says 1X, you're stuck on Serial ATA. If it says 2X or 4X, that's really good. That means that you can put in these new ridiculously fast solid state drives. It's pretty good. For the price, if I was to buy this machine brand new, not a refurb, it goes for around $900 Canadian. So I am very impressed to get this for $500. The keyboard and stuff, as I mentioned before, like it actually has less keyboard flex than that Asus that I tried. It's a big beast of a machine. Like for a 2-in-1, this thing is fairly gigantic, but I'm pretty impressed with it actually. And yeah, look to put it through its paces. So I'll come back in a couple.